So, in addition, although my daytime nerdy research is in artificial intelligence at MIT, I've also spent a lot of time in my career studying our universe. So let's start taking a really big picture of ethics and ethics by looking at the human condition from a high level view. So after 13.8 billion years of cosmic history, our universe has woken up and become aware of itself. Right? From a small blue planet, tiny conscious parts of our universe have begun gazing out into the cosmos with telescopes. And we've discovered something humbling. We've discovered that our universe is vastly grander than our ancestors imagined, and that life seems to be an almost imperceptibly small perturbation on an otherwise dead universe. But we've also discovered something inspiring, which is that the technology we're developing has the potential to help life flourish like never before. Not just for centuries, but for billions of years. Not just on Earth, but throughout much of this amazing cosmos. Now, I call the earliest life 1.0, because it was really dumb, like bacteria, unable to learn anything in our lifetime. Right? Think of us humans as life 2.0, because we can learn, which we in nerdy computer speak, you might think of as installing new software into our brains, like languages and job skills. Life 3.0, that can design not only its software, but also its hardware, of course doesn't exist yet. But perhaps we're already, thanks to technology, becoming life 2.1 with artificial knees, pacemakers, and cochlear implants. So let's take a closer look at our relationship with technology. As an example, the Apollo 11 moon mission was both successful and inspiring, showing that when we humans use technology wisely, we can accomplish things that our ancestors could only dream of. But there's an even more inspiring journey, propelled by something more powerful than rocket engines, where the passengers aren't just 3 astronauts, but all of humanity. Let's talk about our collective journey into the future with artificial intelligence. My friend Jan Tallinn likes to point out that to be truly ambitious, it's not enough to make our technology powerful. We also have to figure out how to steer it and where we want to go with it. So let's talk about all three for artificial intelligence: the power, the steering, and the destination. Starting with the power. So I define intelligence very inclusively as simply the ability to accomplish complex goals. Because I want to include both artificial and biological intelligence, and I want to avoid the silly carbon chauvinism idea that you can only be smart if you're made of meat. It's really amazing how the power of artificial intelligence has grown recently. Right? Think about it. Not long ago, robots couldn't walk. Now they can do backflips. Not long ago, we didn't have self-driving cars. Now we have self-flying rockets. Not long ago, AI couldn't do face recognition. Now AI can generate fake faces and it can simulate your face saying things that you never said. And not long ago, AI could not beat us at a game of Go. Then Google DeepMind's AlphaZero AI took thousands of years of human Go games and Go wisdom, ignored it all, and became the world's best Go player simply by playing against itself. And the most impressive feat here was not that AlphaZero crushed human gamers, but that it crushed human AI researchers who had spent decades handcrafting game-playing software. And AlphaZero crushed human AI researchers not just at Go, but even at chess that we had been working on since 1950. So all this dramatic recent progress really begs the question, how far will it go? I like to think about this question in terms of this abstract landscape of tasks, where the elevation represents how hard it is for AI to do each task at human level, and the sea level represents what AI can do today. The sea level is, of course, rising as AI improves. So there's a kind of global warming going on here in the task landscape, and I was very pleased to hear that you're going to talk about climate change at the G7 summit, despite the presence of some people from this country who don't want to, so go Canada. Now, the obvious takeaway from this is career advice, right? Avoid careers at the waterfront, which will soon be disrupted by automation. But there is also a much bigger question. How far will this go? How high will the water end up rising? Will it eventually flood everything with AI matching human intelligence at all tasks? This is the definition of artificial general intelligence, AGI, which has been the holy grail of AI research since its inception. It's very important to not conflate the narrow AI we have today. It's good at a few things with AGI. It can do everything we can do. So, by this definition of AGI, people who say, there'll always be jobs that humans can do better than machines, are simply saying that we will never get AGI. Sure, we might still choose to have some human jobs or to give humans income and purpose without the jobs, but AGI would in any case transform life as we know it, with humans no longer being the most intelligent. Now, if the water level actually does reach AGI, then further AI progress would be driven mainly not by human AI researchers, but by AI itself, which means that additional AI progress could be much faster than the typical human research and development timescale of years, raising the very controversial possibility of an intelligence explosion, where recursively self-improving AI rapidly leaves human intelligence far behind, producing what's known as superintelligence. All right, reality check. Are we actually going to get AGI anytime soon? Some famous AI researchers, like Rodney Brooks, my MIT colleagues, think it won't happen for hundreds of years. But others, like Google DeepMind founder Demis Hassabis, are much more optimistic and are working to try to make it happen much sooner. The company has as a slogan, solve intelligence. And interestingly, recent surveys have shown that most AI researchers actually share Demis's optimism, and guessing that we will get AGI within a matter of decades. Which begs the question, then what? What will the role of humans be if machines can do everything better and cheaper than we can? And the way I see it, we face a choice here. One option is to be complacent. We can say, let's just build machines that can do everything we can do and not worry about the consequences. After all, if we build technology that makes all humans obsolete, what could possibly go wrong? But I think that would be embarrassingly lame. I think we should be more ambitious, we humans, and envision a truly inspiring high-tech future and try to figure out how to steer toward it, right? So this brings us to the second part of our rocket metaphor, the steering. We're making AI more powerful, but how can we steer towards a future where AI will help humanity flourish rather than flounder? To help with this, I co-founded the Future of Life Institute, a small nonprofit promoting beneficial use of technology. And our goal is simply for the future of life to exist and to be as inspiring as possible. And I love technology. Technology is why 2018 is better than the Stone Age. And I'm optimistic that we can create a truly inspiring future with technology, as long as we win the wisdom race. And I thought in the wonderful remarks we heard from the Consul General here, this point was made that we need to win this race. We need to make sure that we win the race between the growing power of the technology and the wisdom with which we manage it. That is really the key. It's not about stopping technology, it's about developing the wisdom so fast that it stays ahead. But winning this wisdom race is going to require a change of strategy. I think it's really important to be honest about this. Because our old strategy used to be learning from mistakes. We invented the traffic, we invented fire. Screwed up a bunch of times, invented the fire extinguisher. We invented the car, screwed up a bunch of times, invented the traffic light, the seat belt, the airbag. But with more powerful technology like nuclear weapons, synthetic biology and certainly artificial general intelligence, we don't want to learn from mistakes. That's a lousy strategy. It's much better to be proactive rather than reactive. Plan ahead and get things right the first time, which might be the only time we'll get. It's funny though, because sometimes people tell me, Max, shh, don't talk like this. That's Luddite scaremongering. But that's not scaremongering. That's what we at MIT call safety engineering. Think about it. Before NASA launched the Apollo 11 mission, they systematically thought through everything that could possibly go wrong when putting people on top of explosive fuel tanks and launching them to a place where no one can help them. There was a lot that could go wrong. Right? Was that scaremongering? No, that was precisely the safety engineering that guaranteed the success of the mission. And that's precisely the strategy I think we should take with AGI. Think through what can go wrong to make sure it goes right. So in this spirit, we've organized conferences bringing together leading AI researchers and other thinkers to discuss how to grow this wisdom we need to keep AI beneficial. And the last one I had was in California in Asilomar last year, and it produced a list of 23 principles, ethical principles, which have since been signed by over 1,000 AI researchers around the world. And I want to tell you about just 3 of them, set the stage for our subsequent discussion. One is that we should prevent an arms race and lethal autonomous weapons. The idea here is that any science can be used for new ways of helping people or new ways of harming people. For example, biology and chemistry are much more likely to be used for new medicines and new cures than for new ways of killing people, because biologists and chemists pushed very hard and successfully to get international bans on biological weapons and chemical weapons. And in the same way, most AI researchers want to stigmatize and ban offensive lethal autonomous weapons. There are some, it's very much touch and go. Now, if you ask your friends whether they mainly associate biology with good things or with bioweapons, you know what answer you're going to get. And if you try to recruit students from Harvard or MIT to go work and build bioweapons, they're going to think that's disgusting. I very much hope that when we look back in 10 years, that what's happened to AI, people will similarly associate AI with new solutions, good things in the world, not with having started an arms race that makes us nostalgic about the nuclear arms race. But this is very much touch and go, what's going to happen. And it was very interesting that actually a group of world-leading Canadian AI researchers, Jeff Hinton, Joshua Benjo, and many, many others, just wrote a letter to your government urging Canada to become a champion of this cause. There are already quite a lot of countries who have come out and said clearly that they want AI to join biology and chemistry and remaining mainly a civilian effort. And I think it'd be fantastic if Canada were to be the first member of the G7 to really take this stance. We'll all be grateful for it. The second Asilomar principle I want to mention is that we should mitigate AI-driven income inequality. I think that if we can grow the economic pie dramatically with AI, and we still can't figure out a way to share this pie so that everybody gets better off, then shame on us. Now, raise your hand if your computer has ever crashed. That's a lot of hands. Well, then you'll appreciate this principle that we should invest more in AI safety research. As we put AI in charge of ever more decisions and infrastructure, we have to transform today's buggy and hackable computers into robust AI systems that we can really trust. Because otherwise, our awesome new technology can malfunction and harm us, or get hacked and be turned against us. And this is significantly broader than just cybersecurity. For example, this AI safety work has to include research on AI value alignment. Because the real threat from AGI is not malice like in silly Hollywood movies, but competence. AGI accomplishing goals that just aren't aligned with ours. For example, we had in this tragic attack in Toronto that we just witnessed, nobody who builds a car wants it under any circumstances to be able to drive into a person on purpose. As we start getting computers in all our cars, there's no reason for that to even be technically possible anymore. Perfectly feasible within a relatively short time, I think, for cars to just refuse to do certain things. But our AIs today are so dumb, they don't even have that kind of elementary kindergarten ethics, built into them. That's a great place to start. And as we go a little further, think, for example, when we drove the West African black rhino extinct, we humans, right? It wasn't because we were evil rhinoceros haters, was it? No, we did it because we were more intelligent than them and our goals weren't aligned with theirs. Now, AGI is by definition smarter than humans, so if we ever build AGI and want to avoid putting humanity in the position of those rhinos, we have to figure out how to make machines understand our goals, adopt our goals, and retain our goals. And what goals should these be anyway? This brings us to the third part of our rocket metaphor, the destination. We're making AI more powerful and trying to figure out how to steer it, but where do we want to go with it? This is the elephant in the room that almost nobody is talking about because we're so fixated on near-term AI challenges, like jobs and all these other important things. But the fact is, our species is trying to build AGI, right? And what kind of future society are we hoping for if we succeed? We did an opinion poll on this recently, and I was quite struck by how most people, out of these 15,000, actually want us to build superintelligence, AI that's vastly smarter than humans in all ways. The greatest agreement was on that we should be ambitious as a species and help life spread ultimately into the cosmos, but there was much less agreement about who or what should be in control, as you can see. And I was actually quite stunned to see that there's even about 10% wanted to be just machines. And there was complete...
Have they not seen the Terminator?
Go figure. Or maybe they're just very misanthropic. In any case, there was a total disagreement about what the roles of humans should be, even at the most basic level. So let's take a closer look at possible futures that we might choose to steer toward. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not talking about space travel, just about humanity's metaphorical journey into the future, okay? One option that some of my AI colleagues like is to build superintelligence and keep it under human control, like an enslaved god, disconnected from the internet and used to create unimaginable technology and wealth for whoever controls it. But Lord Acton warned that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you might worry that maybe we humans aren't smart enough to handle, or wise enough rather, to handle this much power. Also, aside from any moral qualms you might have about enslaving superior minds, you might worry that the superintelligence could outsmart us, break out, and take over. But I also have colleagues who are actually fine with AI taking over and even causing human extinction, as long as they can think of the AIs as our worthy descendants, like our children. But how would we know that the AIs have actually adopted our best values? And also, shouldn't those people who don't want human extinction have a say in the matter too? Now, if you didn't like either of those two high-tech scenarios, it's important to remember that low-tech is suicide from a cosmic perspective, because if we don't move far beyond today's technology, the question is not whether humanity is going to go extinct, but merely whether we'll get taken out by the next killer asteroid, supervolcano, or some other problem that better technology could have solved. So how about having our cake and eating it? How about with AI that's not enslaved, but treats humans well because its values are aligned with ours? So this is the gist of what Eliezer Yudkowsky has called friendly AI. And if we could pull this off, it could be awesome. It might not only eliminate negative experiences like disease, poverty, crime, and other suffering, but it could also give us the freedom to choose between a fantastic new diversity of positive experiences, basically making us humans the masters of our own destiny. So in summary, our situation with technology, and in particular a situation with AI, it's complicated, but the big picture is rather simple. Most AI researchers expect artificial general intelligence, expect AGI within decades. And if we simply bumble into it unprepared, it'll probably be the biggest mistake in human history. It could enable a brutal global dictatorship with unprecedented inequality, surveillance, suffering, and perhaps even human extinction. Now, but if we instead steer carefully, we can create an amazing future where everybody's better off. The poor are richer, richer, everyone is healthy and free to live out their dreams. But hang on, do you folks want a future that's politically right or left? Do you want a pious society with strict moral rules, or a hedonistic free-for-all like Burning Man 24/7? Do you want beautiful beaches, forests, and lakes, or do you want also to rearrange some of those atoms into computers that can enable virtual experiences? So many questions, right? But with friendly AI, we could build all of these societies and give people the freedom to choose which one they want to live in, because we would no longer be limited by our human intelligence, only by the laws of physics. So the resources and space for this would be astronomical, literally. So here's our choice. We can either choose to be complacent about our future, taking this as an article of blind faith that all new technology is guaranteed to be beneficial, and then just repeat this to ourselves as a mantra over and over and over again as we steer towards, as we just drift like a rudderless ship towards our own obsolescence. Or we can be ambitious, thinking hard about how to steer our technology and where we want to go with it to create a truly inspiring future. And we're all here to ultimately celebrate science and technology and humanity, see how we can make the best of it, right? So I feel that the essence in creating truly inspiring future should lie in becoming not overpowered, but empowered by our technology. Thank you.